Alright guys, TacticalRab here again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Dashy having a few interesting words here to say for Parasite after he said that he was going to get rid of the hackers from ranked play, but it doesn't really seem to be happening. But also Temp giving his thoughts on his greatest player of all time and some hilarious stories about Ricky, currently of the Los Angeles Guerrillas. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate this. An interesting video here from Twisty, who's come up with some, I mean, man, I don't understand how this map has so many wall bangs, but if you're in this corner you can get wall bang from here. There's so much you can do on this map apparently, and I do wonder whether these guys have got this prepared. You know, we've seen the likes of Cellium and Shotzzy and others. There were certain wall bangs on certain maps such as on Mikado for example that were pulled out in the early part of the season, but apparently, I mean, clearly there is way more you could do here, and I don't know if these guys have some of this stuff prepared, but I mean, even you can come here. I mean, we've seen for example on this map and others as well, for example Hotel, the wall bangs into the bomb site in the kitchen, so there's a lot of stuff you can do. This game, like, the walls are somehow paper thin, and especially with the tag, it does a lot of damage through these walls. Just wanted to follow up on what we saw earlier today then. So Kevin Durant is coming into this game as a new operator. There's this new one called Nikto, I guess, but the other two are apparently, now I don't exactly know if this is true or not, maybe this has been confirmed by the time that this video goes out, but Tim the Tapman and Nick Merckx are apparently getting their own operators in the game, which is very interesting, right? I think it's cool. Fundamentally, this is a cool thing that we get these creators and stuff in the game itself. But you know, it's interesting because Nick Merckx, in a way, he used to be super integral to the competitive COD scene several years ago. Black Ops 3, Search and Destroy, tourneys, Challenge, all this stuff, absolutely fantastic. But in recent, okay, did Warzone as well. But in recent years, he's moved over to Apex and the like. So it's quite interesting because many would say, why isn't Scump an operator, right? Like, if we're going to do it for Nick Merckx, why not? You know, surely Scump is the absolute no-brainer to go for, or even Dr. Disrespect or something, right? So yeah, we'll see. They've done it in other games. I guess they're going to do it in Call of Duty here, but people have been asking for some time now, what if I could play as Scump, or if I could play as Crimsix or something in the game? And they might get round to it, but for now, not going to be the case, it seems. Also wanted to mention here, so a couple of teams have come up with graphics for their qualifier matches. The first game that OpTic plays against Vegas, then they play FaZe, Surge, Toronto, Florida. Far from an easy set here for OpTic, certainly these three middle games, but you know, against FaZe, they do have a great record, which you would expect them to continue here. So that's the qualifiers that OpTic have. It feels to me that OpTic really never got a particularly easy run of qualifiers, because it's always tricky to say before the season begins what the strength of schedule looked like, because there's certain teams that were terrible at the start of the year and are now okay, or vice versa. Like, you know, Surge maybe are more beatable now than they were right at the start of the season, where they were very good at Major 1. So the strength of schedule is always going to get a bit skewed, but Vegas certainly have a hard time. This was officially brought out by the COD League last night because they're not looking so good right now. OpTic Subliners is their first week, then FaZe Rokkr, obviously a massive game to try and get the 8th seed for champ. Seems like that's going to be a bounty game as well, and then Surge their final match. So yeah, they're going to have to win a lot of game 5s here, I think, if they want a chance of making a run this tournament, but it is going to be far from easy. Also wanted to share what was fantastic, I thought, that the CoDCast is back in business, baby. The CoDCast was, before the flank, my favorite podcast to listen to for sure. There were some phenomenal episodes during, was it the Infinite Warfare season or even late World War II, when it was Nameless and Pac-Man, and they would get various guests on, either on a couch in person, they did a couple of times, or like just on a show like this. So the CoDCast is back. They're calling it Friendly Fire, and so Study is joining Nameless on this one instead of Pac-Man as it used to be, and Temp was on the show last night, and honestly, these guys, always going to be a fun time. Just wanted to share this clip here from what he has to say on his greatest of all time player, an interesting analysis as well on why he thinks that is the case, and I show another clip at the end of the video as well, which is just absolutely premium CoDCast content.
So, who's your go?
Probably Scump. I'll say Scump. Like, I always believed in pre-aiming. Like, I think, like, before, like, that was my idea of COD. Like, if you could always keep your gun up, obviously you can't walk around the map aimed in at all times. It's just understanding the timings of the game and keep your gun up at right moments. That's how I initially, like, respected. Like, that's how you're going to get kills. Like, in the old games like Ghost, right? If your gun is up at the right time, you pull the trigger first, you're going to get the kill.
100%.
And I feel like Scump, like, all time, like, he, to me, was, like, before, like, all these new players, like, I think Simp is also really good at that. But Scump was, like, the first one where I feel like he was just incredible at it. Like, he just understood the timings of the kill so well. So I would try to, like, copy that. Like, all right, when I'm playing, don't get caught sprinting. That was back, like, on 360 Xbox One. Like, you get caught sprinting, like,
It's over.
You're not getting the kill. It's over with.
Yeah.
So that's
Speaking of Scump, it was Aches who actually confirmed on the flank last night that there were discussions between the two of them way back in the day in like 2014, early part of that season, when potentially Scump could have joined Complexity. I believe this has been known, to be fair, for some time. It's like a rumor that's gone around, but Aches did say that they were discussing with himself, TP, and Crim6 to potentially form a team like that because Karma wasn't there at that point yet. So Scump could have been there, and so that would have really changed the landscape of competitive Call of Duty history for sure. And also, speaking of the flank, this was the tier list they came up with. They were debating a fair bit on whether to put OpTic in S or OpTic in A, and Aches was making an interesting point, right? The last season there was a lot of debate when FaZe were getting to all the grand finals. Were they an S tier team or were they an A tier team? Because FaZe were making all the finals, they looked like the best team. They got to finals and lost to absolutely everyone they played. So yeah, there was a debate about that because they were S tier up until the finals, and then they would just lose to everyone. They were kind of D tier in grand finals last year, FaZe, generally speaking at least. So this year, OpTic are in 2 grand finals so far. They've lost both of them, so do they qualify in a similar category? Should they be S? Should they not be? To be honest, right now, at least in terms of LAN performances, Thieves are slightly above OpTic. I would still agree with what they came up with in the end of both of them in the same S tier. Okay, theoretically, you might want to do LA Thieves, S, OpTic, A+, whatever. Maybe that's more valuable, but I think what they've done here is probably about right. I do have Toronto as my 4th team for now. I do think they're slightly a cut above the guys behind them, and I think that this is probably bang on the money, to be honest. Like, I guess I want to put Vegas still above the D tier, which they should be, right? Certainly online, they should probably be C tier, so this is probably an accurate list, but fundamentally, this list is basically just the placings from the previous event, right? Which is, yeah, probably fair enough. Okay, Boston slightly higher, Ultra slightly higher, but still, I think it's becoming relatively clear at this point. Let's dive into some of the cheating drama then. So the last few days has been lots of discussions from Parasite that he's trying to get rid of the cheaters in the game, doing his best to make that happen, reporting all these guys. It doesn't seem to be working out so well, and that there apparently is, today, right, May the 3rd, which has probably already happened by the time this goes live, some scheduled maintenance on the servers to prevent players logging in. Well, it will prevent players logging in. That's not the intention of it. They're trying to fix something, I imagine. Now, as Parasite says, installing a working anti-cheat copium, because this is the thing, the Ricochet anti-cheat arrived into the game. It doesn't do anything. I know that Nameless came out with a clip the other day where he said there's some hacking Discord that all the hackers are in, and there's one guy leading it up who's selling them the hacks, and they were making an absolute bag as a result, and the Ricochet doesn't seem to work, so there's hackers in every game anyway. Nameless said that, then immediately got killed by hackers. Like, I mean, what is going on right now? So Parasite has been trying, others have been trying. Fundamentally, there's not so much they can do, but Dashy has a few words to him and says, look, Parasite's talking all this about he's getting rid of the hackers, but yet I'm still getting hacked at every single game.
Dude, Haggy's low-key been bull. He's like, don't worry, I submitted all these guys. You guys are fucking. Like, a day later, they're still gaming, they're still spin-botting me. I'm like, dude, are you like... I understand. I think
this guy from Symphony stream who, like, came to my stream, his name's aBeZy, and he gets everyone out. He came in yesterday, he's like, yeah, he's gone, don't worry, like, trust, like, you'll have no more issues. Load up again, queue up against Slack's daughter. I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I think you're capping, dog. This guy's...
I think there's a lot of cap going around here.
Yeah, there is. Everyone wants to just, I don't know, everyone wants the title of a sheriff, but no one's actually putting down the authority, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
A lot of bluffs.
See, baby. Lobby members.
So I don't really know what the guys can hope to do about this, right? Parasite comes out of one of these. Cheating will get you nowhere in life. So I can understand the frustration from a lot of these guys about what is exactly going on right now in this ranked play mode. It's not going to last too much longer if this is the case. And also, Warzone 2 ranked is meant to come out. We know that Warzone, well, to be fair, I don't even play the thing, but my understanding is that Warzone has not gone across particularly well with a lot of the players in that community. The new Warzone just doesn't seem to be what it was before. People don't seem to like it, and they're trying to bring out a ranked mode. Probably what they saw was that other games of Battle Royales tried to maybe do something similar, and then there was discussions that, alright, maybe they should add a ranked mode into Warzone as well. The regular ranked game did really well for multiplayer, so they thought, alright, let's put it in Warzone. But the issue is, if there's cheaters everywhere, especially in Warzone, it's going to be a shambles, right? I saw Merc tweet about this yesterday. It was like, well, might as well just delay the addition of ranked into Warzone, because it's going to be a complete mess with the cheating situation as it presently is. So they've got to get on top of it. This is the issue. I think there was even rumors a while ago that the Ricochet code was like leaked or something, which may or may not be true, but that's the issue, that if anything like that does happen, the cheat manufacturers can have a look at it, figure out ways to get around it, and just an absolute mess. So Parasite's trying his best. I know that Dashy has thrown a few roasted, but you know, what could he really do at the end of the day compared to the juggernauts of Activision that should try and shut this down, but seemingly can't get very far, and are seeing their game, especially on the Warzone side, wither up up to a certain degree. Speaking of Parasite, there was some interesting discussion last night, especially as a result of this tweet. So Brian's stats goes back and counts up, which I thought was phenomenal from him. He looked back every single map that was played in the grand finals of the 2013 World Championship. Now, this was on paper a best of 11, but it was what was called a continuation best of 11. So the result in the winners finals would continue on, so it was like 3-2 in the winners finals. That then continued on to the grand finals. So the series started from Freako being up like 3-2 or something. So it's a bit of a weird format. They didn't play a pure 11 maps, I don't believe, in the grand finals. I think it was a continuation format, which is not used today. But regardless, Brian went back and looked at all the kill feeds, because I don't believe there was any stats really shown for this like there is nowadays, and counted up all the numbers here. So, of course, the winning team, Parasite, Killer Miracles, Karma, I don't believe these stats were available before, so it's really cool to see them, because I know there's people that always like to rewrite history, our Killer got carried and all this, but definitely not the case. Rambo had a pretty individually hard time here, and Jacob, I believe, even mentioned here in the replies, like a Proofy Stainfield Jacob on the Envy side, of course, he was like, this is the first time that I believed in God boxes, because he reckons he was one-bursting people with the M8 all tourney, came into this match, and it wasn't going to happen. So, you know, there's some debate about that, but Parasite, of course, and co won the World Championship in its inaugural season, and there was questions at the time. People expected Parasite to go on to have a phenomenal career. He was one of the best ARs in the game at the time, but in the upcoming years, the amount of teams that exploded as a result of his personality differences, let's just say, the toxicity and all this stuff, the amount of rosters that Haggy was on in the next few years are remarkable, and he still did quite well the next season. Okay, maybe not so much Ghost, but, you know, certainly going into Advanced Warfare was still a good player, still teaming with good players, but after that kind of fell apart. And, you know, it's interesting to look at, right, as Simply Rewind says, that looking at these 8 players at the time, would you have expected that out of these 8, the top guys coming out of this would be Karma and JCab? Based on these numbers, at the time you wouldn't have thought so. You'd have thought that, okay, Parasite, Miracles, Killer, they'll go on to have phenomenal careers and be, okay, they are legends in their own right, but, you know, Karma, Jacob obviously differentiated themselves from this. Cap went on to win 2 World Championships. Karma, of course, won 2 more after winning this one. And, yeah, Parasite says, yeah, those guys are so much better than me, man. I totally wasn't just toxic getting blacklisted my whole career. Now, you know, it's obviously an argument about blacklisting, because did he get blacklisted because those who didn't want a team with him wanted to shut him down and deliberately kind of get him out of there, or was it, you know, based on his own personal toxicity and stuff? So, I mean, he admits that he was toxic in this. But as Parasite says, if I had a different mentality back then, I probably would have had a similar career. So, interesting statement from Parasite, and, you know, might be a valuable one, to be honest, because you look at those 8 players and you think, well, you know, the guys with the best attitudes at the time and continue that way over the coming years, they did the best in terms of forming and maintaining relationships with players they needed to actually form better and better teams going forwards, despite the talent that they had. Just another reason why Black Ops 3 is the greatest Call of Duty of all time as well here, because here we go, Black Ops 3 higher on the Steam sale charts compared to Modern Warfare 2 right now. Not surprised at all, just shows how good it is. But that's where we're going to leave it. Just wanted to share this clip here for the CoDCast as well to close out the video, but very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Yo, Ricky was yo, team with Ricky was comedy, bro.
Comedy, bro. Comedy, bro.
Yeah, dude, Rick's hilarious, dude. He'd be like, all right, guys, one more round, we'll be at 4.
Yeah.
Once we get to 4, we're 2 away from closing it out.
There was a map we were playing at the LCQ with Ricky. Ricky was 10-30. Bro, he was yelling like he was frying. Bro, I was full blown toxic. This is at my peak of toxicness. I popped the scoreboard. Bro, I popped the scoreboard. I say, Rick, shut the up. You're not getting a kill. Yo, he stopped. Yo, he actually shut up and we won the game.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, you're 10-30. What are you yelling? Like, he was yelling like, they're dead. I'm like, yo, Rick.
Nah, you remember that chance, bro, when he called out 3 flank and it was only Tommy and ended up getting turned on?
Yo, Rick was watching the flank, got turned on. He said, 3 flank, 3 flank. I'm like, bro, there's one guy there, bro.
Oh, that's the worst. You can't get away with that type of stuff now because you got a coach in the background.
I love Rick, bro.
I love you, Rick.
Oh, that's good.
That's funny, bro.
I love teaming with him, man. He always made it feel so real. Be like, yo, all right, we win this match, guys, we make 20K. Do you know what I could do with 20K? And I'd be like, oh, damn, you're right. Like, this is power tournament. Like, this 20K on the line. He'd be like, dude, and then all of this, like 6 more maps, bro, 50 racks. I'm like, oh my God.
Like, that motherfucker used to have you ready to go and anything.
Dude, he would just, it was always about cash, and he would just ground you immediately, dude. He would just ground you.